Climate change. That word is everywhere at the moment. Television, documentaries, podcasts, conferences, you name it.
Climate change.
Climate change.
Climate change.
Climate change.
But what exactly is it? Is it the same thing as global warming? Another word that gets thrown about so very often? Well, the two are often used interchangeably, but remember, they're not the same. And that's why I'm here with this new series, The Climate Explainers. My name is Anubha Bhosle. All things climate change, no jargon. Imagine the Earth as a giant house. Global warming and climate change are like two things happening inside this house. Global warming is when the house gets warmer overall. Climate change is when different rooms in the house start to change. So one room becomes hotter, another gets more rain, another gets cooler. So changes in weather conditions in different places around the world over a long period of time, say 30 years or more, is climate change. So if you're thinking, why can't I see climate change outside my window today? Well, that's why, because it's long term. But here's the important part to remember. Climate change happens naturally as well over a really long period of time. What's different now? The reason we're talking about it is we are seeing climate change happen really fast. And scientists say it's going to speed up even more in the future. Why? Because of faster than usual global warming. See, a really long time ago, no, I'm not going to give you a history lesson, but around the late 1750s, people started using coal, petrol, and natural gas a lot during the Industrial Revolution. This caused a spike in carbon dioxide or CO2 levels in our atmosphere. In the 1950s, that's after World War II, when we really started using cars, etc. much more, there was another spike in CO2 levels. I'm simplifying this to some extent, but these 2 points in history are when the climate crisis, in a sense, started. Since then, the world's population has tripled. We are burning a lot more fossil fuels, releasing enormous amounts of CO2. So now, when the sun's energy reaches the Earth, some of it is supposed to go back out into space, but thanks to our gas blanket, CO2, methane, etc., the heat gets trapped in the Earth's atmosphere and causes the average temperature to rise, or global warming. This is also called the greenhouse effect. Again, it does happen naturally as well. This increase in CO2 and other greenhouse gases has caused the average global temperature to rise by at least 1.1 degrees compared to before the industrial era. Doesn't sound like a big deal, right? Just 1.1 degrees hotter on average over a couple of centuries. It gets hotter by 10 to 15 degrees in peak summer in India in places. So what's really the fuss about? Well, here's where climate change comes back into the picture. Take the Arctic, the icy region near the North Pole. Because the Earth is getting warmer on average faster than usual, the ice there has started to melt. The melted ice turns black and absorbs even more heat, which makes it melt faster. You know how you feel hotter when you wear an all-black outfit in peak summer? Just like that. This melting ice adds more water to the oceans. And the oceans get warmer, they get bigger, they take up more space. So, expanding warm oceans touch huge blocks of ice sitting on the land near them, like glaciers and ice sheets, and everything starts to melt, which means even more water flows into the oceans, causing the water levels to rise. Scientists say average sea levels have gone up by over 8 inches since 1880, and about 3 inches of that rise has happened in the last 25 years alone. 3 inches, about an index finger. So if you're unimpressed, I get that. But 3 inches rise in a full bathtub, not much is going to happen possibly. A little spillover perhaps. But imagine all the interconnected oceans like a ridiculously huge bathtub that covers 70% of the Earth. 3 inches of an overspill? Serious problems, my friend. It's already happening. We can see this happening in the Sundarbans in eastern India. In Indonesia, where they're moving the capital city away from Jakarta because it is sinking. Rainfall patterns are shifting. Untimely rains, more droughts, more destructive flash floods, severe heat waves in northwestern India in May of last year destroyed wheat crops. Supply went down, prices went up. So today, if you zoom out, ice caps melting in the Arctic are related to wheat prices here in India. It's not such a far-fetched linkage to make. Remember, we used to think a 2-degree rise in global temperature was actually okay. But now we know that even a 1.5-degree rise is going to have dire consequences. Countries across the world have signed a pact, the Paris Agreement, to limit warming to 1.5 degrees. Keep in mind, we are already at 1.1 degrees. Does this mean the worst is inevitable? Well, certainly not. Many, including us here at the Climate Explainers, are optimistic. We can still limit global warming to 1.5 degrees if we act now. Simplifying the climate crisis and nudging you to think about climate action. That's our one endeavor here. If this video helped simplify some of the basics for you, we'd love to hear from you. Remember, you can always leave a comment with any questions you might have or suggestions. I'm going to see you again next week with another climate change explainer. Till then, from my entire team, thank you for watching.